the cost of satellite rescues, the size of ProRes images on the iPhone, and Apple Watch repair costs. This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide is a fleet visibility solution for Mac, Windows, and Linux that can help you securely scale your business. Learn more at kolide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's MacVoices Live. It's Tuesday night. We're back on our regular night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We hope you're here with us, but if you're not, if you're watching this in the feeds later, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, you need to tell Siri, tell the A-Lady, tell whatever will remind you to get here and be part of the chat on youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We have a great time. We've already got people in the chat room. We have even more just watching live. So come and join us. Under the heading of confessions, I have a serious head cold tonight. So I will be reaching for the cough switch occasionally, but hopefully I will be able to catch it before it grabs me. And I'm also medicated. So look out. Here we go. I didn't say what I was medicated with. I just said I was medicated. Let's go around the room, find out who's here, and then we'll get to it. First up, as it seems like always, he's always the first one in, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Just on the schedule. He's such a pro. I don't know if I could go that far, but it's great to be here, Chuck. Thanks for having me, and doing great. Look forward to this discussion since lots of releases happened this week, and I think we will have a bit of a lively discussion this week. But
I think so. I agree with you, David. Yeah. Mr. Warren Sklar has remodeled or redone something to his basement, and now it's all cleaned up, and it's impressive looking, Warren.
I actually, in the Slack channel, just sent you a couple pictures because it is impressive. Actually, you can look later. But yeah, I got the whole thing, and I had too much stuff for where I was in that corner, so I had to relocate it somewhere else, and I'm pretty happy with it. Good to be here. I had my COVID booster a couple of days ago, and I did not feel good for a couple of days, but I think today is good. So I'm boosted against this. This is my fifth. Yeah, fifth one. It's the fifth shot now, so people are getting that. They actually had to write the shot on the back of the card. That's how many I had at this point. So that's my life. Good to be here.
Okay, well, glad that you came around and felt good enough to join us.
Thanks.
Jim Ray is back on his patio or porch or whatever he's on. Jim, good to have you.
All of the above.
All of the above. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Brittany Smith is back with her fuzzy microphone. Britt, good to have you.
Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Yeah. Now, last week you brought a friend. This week it's just you.
This week he's driving back down to California. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it was good to have him, but it's definitely good to see you there, right where you should be, right in the center of my screen.
Thanks, Chuck.
Andrew Orr is here. Andrew, you don't look nearly as tired as you did last week. After all that coverage.
So far, this week has been better. Yeah, last week was fun, but it was work.
Hot.
Yeah, I would think so. Last but absolutely not least, joining us at the bottom of my screen is Mr. Jeff Gamet, fresh back from WordCamp. Jeff, it's great to have you, and we missed you last week.
I missed all of you too. I missed all the big news. I missed like everything last week that wasn't WordPress related.
Wait, did something happen?
Actually, I guess I didn't miss everything because I did get to experience the edge of the remnants of Hurricane K, and got to experience more than 24 hours of rain in San Diego.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
We had severe drizzling here.
And now you can write a WordPress blog about it because you know how to do that.
Right.
Although actually Saturday night I saw a lot of lightning, which we don't see in California.
We got hammered last night.
Yeah, that was kind of weird too. Yeah, there's some lightning that I could see.
It was like 45 minutes of lightning.
Wow. Jeff, we don't want to turn this into a WordPress show, but were there any particularly important announcements or anything that we should, kind of throw out there to let people know about?
Well, the timing for the event in relation to WordPress release cycles, there wasn't like really big news that came out, but Matt, he did announce that or confirm that they are at least trying to work more on accessibility in the WordPress backend, which is good because that's something that's been sorely missing.
Interesting. Okay. Good. Well, I guess when you missed the far out wrap up show, but now we've had a week to digest things. I was kind of curious to see if there was anything that had jumped out at anybody that came with all the after coverage and after everyone had a chance to analyze everything. Anything that surprised any of you, or that you maybe had information that was supplemented that things you'd heard?
So I haven't dug into this, but I saw someone online saying, that new emergency SOS feature via satellite. Someone pointed out on Reddit that, this is a great feature, but you got to think about, depending on where you're at, that SOS via satellite feature and rescuing services picking you up, that could be expensive. So price, in America, we got to pay for everything. That could be something to consider, maybe.
Andrew, can I hop in?
About that too. Can I go after you?
Sure. You know what? I'm back. I'm just taking over. Chuck, you just sit down.
Hey Jeff, before you do, I'll take it back for a second and welcome Patrice Brendamore. Patrice, good to have you. But what are you doing up this time of morning?
That's why I'm a little late. I woke up a little late. No, I'm on vacation still, so why not joining? Like, why shouldn't I join? Right?
Okay, good.
She's
good
apparently in America now.
Always has the American flag behind her.
Yeah, just probably showing up. All right, Jeff, dig back in, and then Warren.
So Andrew, you totally nailed it. The expense that people may incur if they have to be rescued could like just financially destroy them.
Yeah.
So PSA, in Colorado, we have a backcountry sort of like state-run emergency insurance plan sort of thing. So when you buy a fishing license in Colorado, or you can now buy just the backcountry insurance thing from the state, and it's super cheap. Like under $20 for the year. That covers you. So if you have to be like airlifted out, they have to send in search crews and all that to find you, those expenses are covered. So if you're going to do anything in Colorado's backcountry, even if you don't get the new iPhone, pony up the super inexpensive cost of getting that backcountry protection.
I mean, if
it's really an emergency, though, I'm okay with being in debt for life.
That was
still have
my
a
first
life.
point.
Yeah, there is that.
But
You're only using this satellite when you're about to die, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's its intent.
So
You
I
wish. You wish.
Well, if you're not, yeah. So
I mean,
if you're in a place where you can't just call anybody else, right? So this is you're either going to die or you're going to do this. Go ahead.
So funny story. One of our former CEOs in the US, like the US subsidiary, repeatedly called 911 because he was stuck in traffic until they basically told him if he calls again, they're gonna like refer him to the FBI and he's gonna get charged.
Why was he calling?
He was stuck in traffic. So
I've been stuck in traffic. I didn't manage to call 911.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, you're an adult though.
When I lived in London.
Then you're native here.
What did he say when he called them?
I don't know. I just know that part.
Anyways, like so the case is if you're using this, it's for an emergency, and you're going, if you're gonna die, then you'll figure that part out later. What I thought you were kind of talking about how expensive the technology is too, which I'm sure is crazy expensive for everybody. So my thought is this: have you guys saw the Apple video of showing you how to connect to a satellite, and it kind of says it moves around with you, and you have to kind of point it, it actually tells you all that stuff. So my thought right now is Apple's giving it for free for 2 years because it's not there yet, and it's probably not. It's going to expand. And this is not going to be like it's always going to find you if you're in the middle of nowhere. And I think Apple's going to say, listen, we told you that you're not paying $1,000 a month for it. And, we're rolling it out. So they want to kind of avoid, I want to say lawsuits on that, but they want to avoid selling it at this point. And hopefully, I think by the 2 years gone by, then they'll have an improved system, and it'll probably be less expensive than it is now because of time.
That service is already available for $10 to $15 a month from other vendors. So I don't think it's going to cost $1,000. I think we discussed it last week. I think.
What service?
Kelly, bring it up, and we looked it up. Go back to the show notes from last week. There's a service that's. And I went and looked it up. It's $15 a month, or I think if you bought a year's worth at a time, it was $12 a month.
Yeah, so that have existed. I mean, even having a satellite phone is not super expensive. I mean, it's more expensive than your average phone plan, but it's not like $1,000.
Yeah, my assumption is that that Apple's going to include 2 years free coverage for the service.
Yeah.
Going forward. So every time you buy a new iPhone that supports the feature, it just automatically comes with that. So for people that are upgrading every couple of years, I'm betting that you're going to get that as part of the plan.
I think they just don't.
They never historically did anything like that. Even if you got the free Apple Music for 3 months, that's it. You're done. So
that's true, but they've never offered something like this before.
I mean, they cannot have it free forever. Simple as that.
So the issue the issue is going to be they don't want the publicity of a news story of somebody who died because they didn't want to pay the exorbitant amount of money it would cost to have that life-saving feature.
Right.
And that's what they have to avoid, and they're going to have to figure out that line of.
Well, I think that's where the 2 years comes in. So if you have an iPhone that's more than 2 years old, now you start paying.
And my guess is even if you haven't paid, they'll still take the call and forward it, but then they'll try to charge you $500 or something retroactively. I don't see them ever going oh, sorry, that person didn't pay, they can die.
That would be horrific.
That's bad optics right there.
If you don't act, if you're not opted into it, it's like a cell phone. It's like the cell service on the watch, right? So I mean, it's like if you don't have.
But 911 works on any phone,
right? Whether it's connected to any service or has a SIM card or anything.
Right.
Or sooner or later, we're going to see articles that come out and say, the Apple satellite service compared to, service X, service Y, and service Z for cost, range, ease of access, what equipment you have to have, all those things. Right now it looks good. Andrew, do you have any idea when you were saying, large sums of money, like what kind of large sums of money were any specified?
So there's actually a couple more points I want to say. First, for the money, this person on Reddit sounded like it wouldn't cost anything if you were being rescued in a national park, but outside of those areas, that may be when some money gets pushed in. The other thing I wanted to say is that Apple and Globalstar, because Globalstar is the satellite company that Apple is partnering with for this, they are pretty much partners at this point. I wrote an article that Apple is going to use up to 85% of Globalstar's satellite network capacity for this feature. And they also committed to around 95% of Globalstar's costs when it comes to satellite maintenance and other additional, expenditures, something like that. So they're committed.
I mean,
it seems like a takeover app for Apple to buy it is a likely.
That's something forward. that crossed my mind too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David?
The other thing I want to take into account, like everybody said at the beginning, this is something really new. I just did a presentation on this last week at a user group and talking about the details of what the way the service works. When you're making that phone call, you're going to go under the assumption that emergency services that's in that area is going to be able to get text messages. You can't do voice calls. So, but if you can't, Apple will know this and it automatically will bring in a relay center, and they have staff that Apple is paying to take that information from the text, and then that relay center will call the emergency services for them by using that service. So this is all new. They're putting all this information in place. I mean, the same thing as they are going to offer that if it's not a dire emergency, the Find My service and the mapping will work, and it'll allow you to be able to send the information to your loved ones to tell them where you are based on the GPS location through Maps and the Find My. So this is the beginning stages of where we are with this service, but like everybody's been saying, we got a bit of ways to go. It's not. This is not going to be you pick up a phone and you're making a satellite call. This is a way of being able to communicate by text to get the services that you need for emergencies. And I think everything I went through with this, they did a pretty amazing job considering this is its infancy. It's still at the beginnings of an expanding service, and I think we've got more good things to come.
I mean, they haven't really perfected cell service in cities here. I mean, they got a long ways to go. My wife can't get like 5G in her apartment in Chicago, and that's a thing now. I mean, and if satellite's the answer to if they're going to make a transition to satellite from towers eventually, that would be interesting if that becomes cheap enough, because I think the tower idea is not a great idea because it's been years and years and years, and it's still hard to get service to everybody in the world. So, we'll see, where this, takes us, but eventually if satellite is going to be the go-to data, which is, Elon Musk's idea, right? He wanted to do that before. Just Starlink, I guess, is what he wants to do, is basically provide fast internet to everybody using satellite, and hopefully the same with voice over data. Then maybe that's the way to the future.
Yeah. Hey,
Starlink is nowhere near. It shouldn't be in the same sentence with everybody. Let's put it that way.
Well, the idea, it's not. I mean, the idea of putting, whether Tesla, Elon Musk puts one up and then, that works, and then Verizon shoots one up over America, that, who knows, right? But that's.
But, I've seen projections that even if, they're shooting up starships, every week, maybe in 5 years, they'll be able to cover 0.5% of the population. It's not going to replace terrestrial cell networks.
Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide is a fleet visibility solution for Mac, Windows, and Linux that can help you securely scale your business. The challenge with endpoint security has always been that it's difficult to scale, and when remote work took over, that challenge got exponentially harder. You need visibility into your fleet of devices in order to meet security goals and reduce service desk tickets. But how do you get that visibility when different parts of your company run on Mac, Windows, and Linux? You get Kolide. Kolide is an endpoint security solution that gives IT teams a single dashboard for all devices, regardless of their operating system. Kolide gives you real-time access to your fleet's data and can do things that traditional MDMs can't. And instead of installing intrusive agents or locking down devices, Kolide takes a user-focused approach that communicates security recommendations to your employees directly on Slack. You can answer every question you have about your fleet without intruding on your workforce. Visit kolide.com/MacVoices to find out how. If you follow that link, they'll hook you up with a goodie bag just for activating a free trial. That's Kolide, KOLIDE.com/MacVoices. Again, Kolide.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Kolide for their support of MacVoices.
Yeah, I'm feeling like Starlink is ultimately a boondoggle because the like you were saying, the amount of launches that they have to do to just build the network is insane. And then before they've even finished building it, they have satellites that are going end of life. So so then they have to start replacing those and continue to build, which means even more launches. It's
if you guys ever been on a cruise and got the internet, and basically what it is a satellite beaming a signal directly to the boat.
I think it can make a huge difference outside of cities, but most people live in cities. So,
but as I was saying, they haven't got cities right yet either, because there's plenty of places in the middle of a city where you can't get service.
It could be the building too, because where I work, we had really bad cell service until we had them install repeaters inside the building. So,
but we've all been in
the
middle of cities with our phones saying this is not so great of a service.
A lot less than 10 or 15 years ago. I think it's getting pretty darn good.
Yeah. I mean, and the question is, are they going to continue on with towers and this kind of technology of like putting different radios on towers, or is there a better way to go? And I think that's what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I want to welcome Eric Bolden. He snuck in here. Eric, you had no better sense than to join this crew tonight?
I'm avoiding work.
I just assumed you lost a bet.
Yeah, there you go.
This is fun.
Yeah. And Eric, you want to mention the thing you put in our private chat so everybody can see it?
Oh, yeah. So after the watch came out, it took a while, and then everybody started telling stories about how the watch saved their life and all the rest of it. It took a while before there was kind of a critical mass of people. I think that the same thing with the satellite bit. It might be like a really short message, but you need a lot of people that have the possibility of sending the message to be able to capture the one or two people that get into a situation where it makes a difference and they're willing to tell their story. So I think the marketing opportunity can't be discounted.
No, I agree. I mean, I fully expect to see a story pop up that Warren's wife has been rescued from Chicago because of her Apple Watch.
She's going to need the iPhone 14 with you to try to track that satellite.
Yeah. I want to throw one article I saw in the chat room that I thought was interesting, and it was one of those things that I think we touched on it in this show. If not, we touched on it in another show somewhere. And that is the size of the iPhone 14 ProRAW photos. That if you're going to use that option with the 48 megapixels, your photos are going to take up a whopping 75 megabytes per picture.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think should be a surprise to anybody.
No,
but
it's 3 times the size of a 12 megapixel raw photo, right? So
isn't it 4
what
times?
Is 12 times 3?
36.
36. So it's actually a little bit.
It's 4 times bigger.
We're still in megabytes,
4 times
people. I mean, these are big photos. I mean, you keep asking for better cameras in your phone and better processing, and space is space.
Well, and the other thing, I knew this at one point, but I'd forgotten it until it was pointed out that the 14 Pro has the same thing, that if you are shooting 4K, what I think they call it ProRAW video,
ProRes?
that
ProRes.
Or ProRes, excuse me. Yeah, thank you, ProRes. That you can only do that if your phone has more than 256 gigabytes.
Right.
Otherwise, it won't even let you turn it on. So
I turned off all RAW and all that stuff as soon as that started out, because that did scare me. The sizes of all that. I'm like, my human eye is not going to be able to see it, and I don't edit photos or videos enough to need it.
Ward, that's actually an important point. Most people don't need or would never even understand what happens with a raw photo, why they would want it.
Yeah.
And so
even if you do, I mean, even if you're like us, probably we understand RAW. We don't rarely ever need it, right?
And if you understood it, you turn it on per that photo you understood it for.
Exactly. That's exactly how I use RAW.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the fact that you have it is impressive. And there's that segment of the population out there that will understand it, know how to use it, and will take advantage of it. It's just not going to be for the casual snap that you do. No. For an item in the store that you want to try to remember. It's going to be when you're out taking serious photos.
So the question is, does it upload to your cloud storage in that 75 meg size for these?
I would think so.
Probably.
So my point would be,
it does.
So if you had a 64 gig iPhone and wanted to do ProRes, technically you could turn on optimized storage, shoot the ProRes film, have it go up to the cloud, and then
Did you say 64 gigabytes?
Well, I'm making a point.
No, I mean,
so like if you had a smaller phone with a 128 gig and didn't wanted to take a lot of pictures, you could turn on optimized photos and still have your ProRes on your Mac. Came back.
If you've ever captured like 4K content of any sort, like especially in like a video context, you know how big those files get. So I don't think so.
Well,
that's the problem. Like if after half an hour of video, your phone is full or something.
Well, I'm sure there are photographers that use up that 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte iCloud storage already. So I mean, I'm sure it's happened.
But the problem is you can't put it on your phone first. Like it has to be. You have to be able to store it on your phone before it can be uploaded. And if your phone is already full, that's not going to work.
Right. But you have that option in the settings, Patrice, that. And I realize, we're talking about dumping new photos in, and but you can offload some of your apps automatically if you start running out of space. So,
sure.
Go Angry Birds! I need this flower.
Yeah, but as I said, the problem with a 64 gig phone is, I mean, a short video might work, but a longer video is gonna basically eat up the entire phone space. And I think that's why Apple, probably one of the reasons why Apple limited that.
Yeah. Brad in the chat room says, or tether the iPhone 14 Pro to the computer and snap high-res pictures directly to the computer.
It doesn't. No, I don't think.
Brad, I don't know that it works that way.
No,
it doesn't.
I don't think that there's a way to default the iPhone saving. And I mean, maybe that'll be a feature they eventually.
There's not, and you could
hook an external.
Probably need a special camera.
Well, they used to sell the Lightning camera kit. So remember. And it's still out there. And so I have one. So the Lightning camera kit was a Lightning connector to a SD card. But they never figured out, there was never it was an Apple cable, but they never mechanized a way for you to default save to that, as far as I know. So that
I think someone could write an app to do that.
I mean, I don't think you could change the default save location.
That's what Camo does.
Yeah, but when you save
the camera and sending it to the Mac.
Maybe.
Interesting point, Joe. I hadn't thought about it quite that way.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as I know, even professional DSLRs don't do that. You can tether them to your device, but they still store on the SD card.
Right, because technically there should be a way to
enough room for one frame, but
Well, there's Lightning to USB adapters too. I mean, technically, you can hook a SSD drive.
And you know, the other problem is Lightning fast enough to transfer ProRes in real time? I'm not too sure about that. I'm guessing not. And Patrice's, yeah. So that's not. So that's not going to work.
Yeah, USB 2.0 speed
will not work. Right. So you can't do that.
But maybe. If iPhone goes Lightning, if goes USB-C, maybe.
Actually, maybe you could do it with Wi-Fi.
I think I had something that used to do that. I used to have one of those USB Wi-Fi things, and I think, there might have been a way to do it for that too.
Well, and there used to be different solutions for it, not iPhones, but for actual cameras. You know, the first thing is that the camera has a certain buffer memory, and you can snap right up to the point that you fill up that buffer, and then you have to wait until it writes some things to the card, clears out that memory so you can shoot more. Right. But there was also, anybody remember the Wi-Fi cards that you could put in your camera?
The little SD cards.
The SD Wi-Fi cards,
Yeah, so, there's some options out there that are possible. It's just a matter of what Apple will decide to let developers dig in and do.
Fun.
So developers can get at the camera and do anything with the camera. Things like Kolide do that in Camo. So you just need an app that gets the camera and then pumps it out at whatever the highest bandwidth.
You're asking a program. You're asking a program to access directly to camera, basically, directly.
Totally. There are programs like Kolide. That's what they do.
But they're not saving the snap. They're passing it through.
Right.
So.
It would need to be a direct save. It would basically need to say save bypass the iPhone's internal memory to this. And I don't know.
Web in the chat room says I used to have the iFi card. I couldn't think of it. Web thing.
iFi. Yeah.
EYE.
Dave has
something. Oh my God, you could even just find one that fast? Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that.
I still have it. I can't believe it.
I have one somewhere, but
I mean, Dave has anything.
I could not get it.
I got the whole case here. I remember it was sitting right over there. So
I probably have something.
No matter what we mention, Dave, you're always like, "Oh, I have that here." You grab something.
I think
so. Let's put him to the test.
We can just go straight to After Dark.
Yeah,
I have everything at my fingertips.
Yeah, let's. Do you have a Hayes 50 or 1200 baud modem?
No, I did.
Okay. Darn.
Oh, not right now. I don't.
You've let us down.
I
How
would.
about a Mac 128? How about a 128K Mac?
It was before my time. I didn't have a Mac until 2006. So.
Oh, that's no excuse.
I have a 512K sitting on a pedestal in the living room.
It's a decorator piece.
Close enough.
But it still works. Do you want me to go grab it and prove it? I can do it.
I have a stuffed computer voodoo doll for help desk.
I have a G3 in the basement actually, and an iBook. Come to think of it, I just saw it yesterday afternoon. It's like, wow, I forgot I had that. One other thing that popped up post far out, I'm throwing it into the chat room now, is that the Apple Watch Ultra will cost more to repair than buying a new Series 8. Should this surprise anybody at all?
Nope.
No, it kind of does. It surprises me. What does that mean, repair? What do they do?
They don't.
It's an $800.
They just exchange it.
It's an $800 watch.
I guess that's a good point. What part are they pulling out? Is the screen $800 if they replace the screen? The battery?
I don't think. I mean, even with the Apple Watch, I don't think Apple does repairs.
I don't think they do either. They replace it. I had one Apple person say when I bricked my watch for the beta that they were going to send it out, and I think that he was just trying to scare me. Send it out and pop off the glass in a vacuum seal or something like that, and do something and pop it back on. And I said, forget that. And so I don't know if that was an empty threat or not, but I think you're right. They don't.
You scared them.
They just replace them.
Yeah, with the specs on this, I wouldn't feel comfortable that the seals would still be solid when I get it back.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, that's true, especially for this.
Plus, they're only charging $99 for AppleCare Plus on that the Ultra.
Yeah, I mean, if compare that and that, if I remember correctly, isn't that for unlimited repairs?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They change it.
Still not.
If you're into serious extreme sports and you're going to wear this watch, or even if you're into
on the Apple Watch,
that's really easy.
I wish I could get this with a smaller screen because this would be feature-wise a really good watch for me.
See, I'm the other way around. I want
it's just too big.
I want the 8 with the bigger screen. The only reason I would want this is for the bigger screen.
By the way, you can't get it until November now.
I'm getting my 8 on Friday, so I'm not getting the Ultra.
Hey, going back to the last discussion, Brad points out something interesting. Preview since Mojave offers continuity camera, and you can file import from iPhone and take photo.
Yep,
I have to go and try that.
No, that's true in QuickTime, right?
Well, but that's all
in QuickTime or in Pre. I mean, you can even. I think even in Pages and so on, you can import from your iPhone, right?
Right, but these are all Apple solutions. I mean, we're not talking about a third-party hook.
Who cares?
But even
Apple, Apple, they do it all the time. They hook into things that they don't let developers hook into, and then finally they're like, "Hey, this year WWDC, we let you hook into BlockKit," and they're like, "Yeah." They do it all the time.
Well, and I don't know what format or what resolution they pull in.
Yeah, I don't think it's not RAW.
I would not think it would pull in RAW.
Oh, you got the two options. You can take the photo, scan a document, or you just import this photo completely from the iPhone through Preview.
So, I don't know. Does Preview read ProRAW? I
wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't think so either. But
Preview's like a magical
it does.
Do not underestimate what it is capable of.
Yeah.
You would think it would only open in something that could actually edit a ProRAW file, because that's the whole point of it, right?
And Brad also says QuickTime Player can mirror the iPhone. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Brad, because I do that. Do that all the time. But I don't think that. I think that's more of a screen capture level, as opposed to ProRes or even a big JPEG.
There's definitely a way to get the big RAW file off the iPhone to something. May not be Lightning, but Jim said Wi-Fi would off somehow. I think is the way to go. I think if that's a solution, that's a good solution.
Well, and I'll be surprised if iMazing doesn't support it, day one. If it doesn't, it'll do it quick. This panel is back in the next edition of MacVoices to talk about the new Apple hardware they purchased, which models they selected, and why. We also talk about the new cycle tracking capabilities of the Apple Watch. That's all next time on MacVoices. I hope you'll join us. Until then, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.